China is just like, I can't get enough of investing in America. Any sane person says, no, I don't think they're going to last this long. The amount, the interest payment, if it goes up and our percentage of income just stays flat, what happens? You either default or you need to make more money. Oh yeah, hey, we could get a third job. Wouldn't that be great? And we could have a 70% income tax. Oh, this is going to work out well. Let me explain it one more time, a different way. You remember a few months ago when the government was out there talking about those villain credit card companies charging people too high of an interest rate. Many Americans had become saddled with too much debt and they were defaulting more frequently. And of course, Barney Frank stepped in and said, we got to force those credit card companies to do something about it. Yeah. So they made sure that they weren't having our rates raised. Well, there's no one in this scenario to step in and bail us out. No, not even Super Barney can do it. It's time we put the scalpel away and get out the machete. Because Washington is clearly not getting the message that you sent. Because you said in Washington, you wanted to decrease the debt, taxes, and spending. I'd use an axe or a machete or a flamethrower if I have to, because everything has to be cut. But let me explain. This is what you said. Now, who are you to tell Washington? Well, let me show you how it works. This is the way our country works. This is the way everything works. There's a guy who's in his garage and has an idea. He says, hey, I know, we could build a company and we can sell all kinds of software crap and people will buy it like crazy, but it's going to take money. What do? We convince people to buy shares in our company because we need their money. So the shareholders send their money to the company because this guy, number one, has a good idea. Got it? That's how companies work. Let's just change the company to the country and change Bill Gates to this idea master. Got it? What he's doing is he's saying, I've got a good idea to run your company because the last guy sucked. Great. So the shareholders got rid of the last guy and like this guy's ideas. But this guy not doing what you, the shareholders, told him to do. What do? The first thing you do is you remember this. I know it says number one here, but remember, it's employee number one. You, the shareholder, are the boss. You're the boss. Fire the employees that aren't doing the job. You got to cut. And people are saying, oh, well, we can't cut health care. We can't cut Social Security. We can't cut defense. We got to cut all of it, gang. All of it. Let's try defense, because that's my favorite. Defense. Will it make the world more stable or less stable? Let me ask you this. Will it make your products more expensive or less expensive? Let me take the case of the Suez Canal. Everybody's talking about Egypt. Let's look at this. This is the Suez Canal right here, okay? Here is Egypt, goes right through Egypt. Right now, we get our oil from Saudi Arabia or wherever, and the oil goes through the Suez Canal, right through here, through the Mediterranean, out the Strait of Gibraltar, to us, to England, and over here to Europe, and over here to England. Got it? Now, let's just say that things become increasingly chaotic in the Middle East. I know, it had never happened. Freedom and democracy have taken root. If things crazy talk got a little crazier, could the Suez Canal be shut down? Yes. Then what happens? You have to, if it's here, you have to go and take those tankers all the way here and go to Europe and England or here to the United States. Don't worry, that only means going over, around Africa is only an extra 10 to 15 days. Oh, and one extra little added bonus, they got to travel right past this little country here. Yeah, that's Somalia. Remember? The place famous for the pirates. You think your price is going to go up or down? You see, the rest of the world used to have pirates running rampant all over the oceans. But thanks to us, that threat has been reduced to places like Somalia. If we cut defense, which we will have to do, and there's not a lot of sea protection against these dirt bags, what do you think happens to global trade? If we keep heading down the path, the unsustainable path, and only play politics, if we don't abort and get off this path quickly, we're not going to have people to fight the Somali pirates. You're not going to be able to have health care. Hell, you're not even going to be able to have slap chops because they ain't going to be $19.99 anymore, even if you do act now. Why? Because we're losing value in the dollar. Back in a minute. Okay, the president has promised to cut $100 billion every year for the next 10 years. Has a familiar ring to it. Dr. Evil talked about that. But I remember back in 2009 when Obama asked his cabinet to cut $100 billion in 90 days. Wow, 1/3%. What a commitment he was making there. Now he's done that over 10 years.
$100 million here. Pretty soon, even in Washington, it adds up to real money.
It does, Mr. President. Good for you. We can throw all the numbers around, but really, it's much better. I mean, no one's going to get serious until you understand how little $100 billion is. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That's the main driver. If you don't touch those, I'm sorry, but if you don't touch those, nothing else matters. Health and Human Services, $1.1 trillion. Social Security, $808 billion. Let's have a serious conversation about cutting the deficit and the debt. The Department of Education, $31 billion. Big deal. Cut it. We still have all of this. Okay? Doesn't work. $11 billion for energy. Cut it. Cut the $11 billion for energy. Where is energy? There it is, right there. That little green space right there. That's good. You still got all of this. I want to show you, and we put this up at glennbeck.com. This is from the New York Times, and let's just go through this real quick. Bring this up. They did this a little while ago. This is our budget puzzle. This is probably the only thing the New York Times has done well in a long time, maybe since 1800. But here it is. Projected shortfall, $418 billion, okay? Our projected shortfall is how much now for the year? Because it's how much are we adding to the deficit just this year, Tiffany? Projected shortfall here is $1.35 billion. That's $1 trillion. Let's just see what it takes to get to $1.3 trillion, okay? Who wants to cut 4 and 8 in half? Oh, I do. I'd like to cut it to 0, but they only give us the option of cutting it in half. Got to fill all these boxes up to get to $1.3 trillion. That really didn't help. Eliminate all the earmarks. Look what a joke this is. Ooh. Eliminate farm subsidies. Okay. Cut the civilian pay workers by 5%. Obama added $1.6 trillion, so we have to fill more than these boxes. Reduce the federal workforce by 10%. Notice it's not really. Cut 250,000 government contracts. Cut other cuts to the federal government. Cut aid to states by 5%. You getting a feeling that we're not going to make it here? Now, let's go into the military. Reduce the nuclear arsenal and space spending. Reduce the military to pre-Iraq war size. Reduce the Navy and Air Force fleets. Cancel and delay weapons programs. Reduce non-combat military compensation. Reduce the number of troops. Reduce the number of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan to 30,000. Okay. Let's try this. Watch this. Increase the eligibility of Medicare to the age of 68. Increase Medicare eligibility to the age of 70. reduce the tax break for employer-provided health insurance. Cap Medicare growth starting, the growth, cap it, by 2013. Did you see what happened? Did you see what happened? You cap the growth. Can you unclick that? Do it again. Cap the growth. Do it again. You see that one? Take that out, please. Let's try another one. Raise the age. Where is it? Raise the age. The Medicare eligibility, we have that one. Go up a little bit, please. Enact medical. No, wait. I'm sorry. Here he is. Here we are. No, it won't. Keep going up. We have to get to Social Security. Can you get to Social Security? There it is. Here it is. Raise the Social Security retirement age to 68, to 70. Reduce those with high incomes from getting Social Security. Tighten eligibility for disabilities. Use an alternate, I love this one. Use an alternate measure for inflation. Don't click on it yet. Well, there it went. What this one is, I love this. Use an alternate for inflation. Unclick it. This means lie to people. Take orange juice off, or gasoline, or cotton. Just, no more clothes, no more food. Just change the formula so we can keep, basically it is capping what people get. Because they're saying, no, we're going to raise it up with inflation. But if we change that measure, do you see how hard it is? Everybody's talking about, the spending of their favorite, what do they call those things? Earmarks. Earmarks are nothing. They're nothing until you get into the meat and potatoes of cutting Social Security or capping Social Security. Just, can we not agree that let's take care of our parents and our grandparents who are already there? But at least let's have some sanity. I'm 46. I'm not going to get it. I know I'm not going to get it. It's okay. Let's come up with another plan because this one's not going to work. Let's take care of the elderly as they expected to do when it was introduced, or at least they conned us into believing that. By the way, that'll be up at glennbeck.com. It's there now, and it'll also be in my free email newsletter. Play with that. You will see what we're up against. Back in a minute.
Fear of civil unrest, riots, and the need for the National Guard. No, we're not talking about Egypt. This is happening in Wisconsin. Next.